Say that again.
Many of the pegs are bent.
Whoa.
They're bent. They come out of the ground and they're bent.
I'm filming. So what are
So
you?
this is the last place that Anya Olsen was ever seen. We don't know what happened to her. I went to bed in that car there. I don't know who's filming now. I went to bed in that car and then I woke up and I saw the tent here like this. And I said, Anya! Anya, where are you? And I didn't hear anything. And so I walked over here and I stomped all over the tent and I hit it with this just to make sure she was in there, you know. And I heard some small noises, but it probably wasn't Anya. It was probably a possum or something. Anyway, so I guess now I have to move to Mexico and destroy this video. No, do you want me to tell the real story?
I thought that was the real story.
Oh yeah. So when we went to bed, I'll tell. Are you recording?
Yes.
When we went to bed, it was completely still. But before that, there was. Excuse me, I'm making a video. Be quiet. Before, when we arrived here, there was a very hard driving rain, and it had only just started. So we jumped out. Well, Anya jumped out very quickly and started to put up the tent, and then it was raining quite hard. We did it in like 2 parts, didn't we? We put up the tent, and actually when we were driving here, all of the treetops were still, and I said, oh, at least we don't have the wind, because yesterday there was a small wind when we were trying to put the fly on the tent. But first it was just the rain, and we got it up and we're both completely drenched like we'd been swimming, and then we sat there and had a cigarette and went, we survived that. Well done. We put up the tent. What else can go wrong? That's perfect. And we had a cigarette and a beer and we went, wow, what an adventure. It's almost a good thing that we went through that because it was so fun. And then then we listened to some reggae music and then at about midnight, I think we both went to bed. And it was completely, even then the rain had stopped. The rain was very, very heavy. And we were looking at the tent and saying, oh yeah, it looks okay, it looks very solid. But the wind was totally still. Like before, what was it? 4 hours before, it was 33 degrees. We're on a mountain. There was absolutely no wind whatsoever. Totally still. And then I fell asleep and Anya jumped into my car. And it took me some minutes to because I was so groggy, it took me some minutes to understand that there was a big wind because even the car was shaking. And Anya explained to me that she got trapped in. It didn't look like this yet. It was still standing up, but some of the pegs must have come out, and Anya explained that she couldn't get out of the tent, and even the floor was lifting up. Even when she tried to lie on the floor, it was like lifting her up like Superman. And it took me some minutes to even understand that there was a wind, because when we both fell asleep, it was completely still. And I looked at my phone and it said it was a 57 kilometer per hour wind, which is fucking crazy. And then we both looked out the window, and eventually, after maybe half an hour, all of these pegs came out and it was just sitting on its side, and it looked like, oh no, it was all blown up like a balloon, like this. And after a while, Anya got out and came and stood on the tent and said, fuck you, why did you do that to me? You're a guest in your country. And I was really enjoying the nature. And then I got out and we put the eskies and the water bottle and anything heavy we could find on there to keep it down. And then by then it was completely flat like it is now. So we don't know what survived in there. There's all the presents from the traveling and Anya's glasses, which is probably broken in 400 pieces. But we will find out. It's kind of like Christmas. Now we open it up and we see what's left. But there's 1, I think there's only 2 pegs that are still in the ground. Yeah, I think there's only 2 pegs that stayed in the ground, which is actually pretty crazy. And all the pegs here, I can see some have been pulled out, and the wind was so strong it bent. It must have pulled it up a little bit, and the guy rope was still on there, and then it must have bent it. And there's several like that. So it's kind of a miracle that Anya isn't still in there. And the alternative story would have been, because I was so tired and this car was shaking with the wind, but I was asleep. So there's another scenario where like I just wake up at 7:30, it's nice and quiet. I look out the window for Anya. Usually she likes to walk up and down in the silence in the morning, but she's not there. And then I would have looked over here and seen a lump. And but thankfully that's not how it happened. Anya was smart enough to get out of the tent at the right time. So, slowly we will put it away and investigate. Was that good?
It was.
Okay.
When did you notice the SMS saying help?
When Anya got in the car, and actually at first I couldn't read it. Anya got in the car and she said that she had texted me help. And I looked at, well, first I couldn't find my phone, but then I looked at my phone and actually, I'll read it to you. Where is it? Anya said that she texted me, but I didn't see it. And then when she was talking, I looked at my phone and it says, at 1:09 a.m. it says help. And then after it, it says, if possible.
What?
She was trying to write, if possible. And it
I don't
says,
know if it's possible to read it against your shit. My glasses might be in 400 pieces.
it says help. And then she intended to write, if possible, but it comes out, if possible, which it's either Danish or it's the sound that you make when you're inside a 57 km/h wind tent.
I was texting with my Flintstones phone. You know, you need to press
You did
A,
well.
B, C, and then
You started it with the right letter.
if possible, just to not bother you.
No, I like it.
I won't bother you in your nice soft bed, sleeping
Oh
heavily.
yeah, I was quite upset. To be honest with you, I was very upset. She jumped in the car and she's like, "Oh, it's a 57-degree wind. The tent is falling over." And I was like, "I was asleep," you know.
Oh my god.
I didn't even consider it. But yeah, that's a big wind. 57 degrees is a big wind. 57 degrees, 57 kilometers per hour. That's a very strong wind. And the crazy thing is that after that, it must have been, then we were looking on my phone to see if we could see when the wind is stopping, but it doesn't really tell you, it just tells you with the rain. And by 3 o'clock, it was like this again. Completely still, and even the rain stopped. And now, today, in typical Australian fashion, it's going to be 35 degrees. So it went from, this place was a thunderstorm, rainstorm, 57 km/h winds. And now it's going to be completely dead and 35 degrees. What a wonderful country. And Anya is still laughing. That's the main thing.
Is it because you're funny? I knew you could make fun about it. Yesterday, you remember last night I was starting to giggle.
Yeah.
And you said, "Why are you laughing?" And I said, "Do you
forgot
really
what you
want
said.
to know why?" And then it was because I was imagining you making fun of it tomorrow, and said, "No, I won't."
Well, what do they say? If you don't laugh, you cry.
Yeah. And you sing Paravesa when you're happy, when you're sad.
It can be any time of the day. Our tent is lying there on the side. Certainly enough somebody back there to knock the tent over. No, but Anya was very brave. Very brave to try and think of a solution. And to get out in time, because it was still standing for quite a while. What would you say, maybe half an hour or something?
I have no feeling
Well,
of
first
the time.
It was still kind of like standing up, and then after half an hour I put the torch on it, and obviously the central tent had obviously fallen, but the fly was still being held up by the guy ropes, and that's when it looked like a parachute.
It did.
That was after maybe half an hour or something.
I got out before the front went,
Yeah.
but it was obviously about to go.
And then actually, after the fly turned into a parachute, it wasn't that long before it fell over like this.
I'm so happy I wasn't inside.
Oh yeah. It would have been very, very scary.
Also, if it really had gotten loose, without the heavy things on it, and I had been rolling through the bush into trees and stuff.
I don't think it would have moved. I think what would have been more terrifying is just like what you described about like having the material, like because you can't push because the air is pushing it. It's like being waterboarded, kind of like all the material being pushed back on you like that. I don't think you would have moved. It just would have been horrible.
And I couldn't find the zipper.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a knife to cut it up.
The sky in yesterday. It's so far away, and there's only 2 that are still on the ground. Well, maybe the tent is. I don't remember making it this long. Maybe it's even a good commercial for the brand of tent because it didn't like rip or anything. And the other thing is the ground, when I was putting in, I actually bent 2 pegs because the ground was so hard when we arrived. But then with all the rain, they wouldn't have any chance. They would just slip out of the soft earth.